So welcome back to JSR Garage. It has been a long time since the last video, I do know that. I have tried shooting 2 videos before this one. None of them really got anywhere. The reason there's been quite a delay is that I have had way too much to do to actually shoot a video, and none of the things I've had to do is regarding anything on the channel. Well, barely, some of them are. Can start off just recapping the year so far. Right now that I am standing here talking, it is May 20th. February, I bought a new daily, 1995 Volvo 945 Turbo. I got it for dirt cheap, literally scrap, and there was pretty much nothing wrong with it, so a good buy. Been using it, and while it is waiting until the Granada gets finished, then I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with it. I might sell it, but we'll see. It's a little bit away before Granada's finished anyway. I bought a rebuild kit and a oil pressure gauge, like a mechanical one for the Aspen, just to have a look at what the oil pressure in that car is. Since the thing that's killed every single one of those 318s that I've had in it is oil pressure, I figured I should monitor that by now. I've had it for 10 years this year. And, yeah, probably good to monitor that. Yep, it has 0 oil pressure at idle. Rev it up a little bit, up to like $2,000, it has not enough. It has enough oil pressure for idle when you're at $2,000. So, yeah, that thing needs to come out. Something's in my beard. Yeah, that's the Aspen and my new daily. Cortina, I dragged that back out of storage. Took it for a trip, had a weak moment. Ran flawlessly though. That also has some oil-related issues. It leaks everywhere. Valve cover gasket, I've replaced that on it once before. Still leaks. The oil pressure gauge in that one, because it has a gauge. Not stock, but it has a gauge in it. That is connected. There's a T coming out of the engine block. There is and this is a British engine, so of course it doesn't have standard threads on anything. So the threads on the oil pressure, sensor, where that goes into the block, it is 1/8 BSPT, I think, British Standard Pipe Thread, which is the same as 3/8 NPT, National Pipe Thread, or regular pipe thread, 3/8, except it's a lot more coarse threaded, so an NPT doesn't work. And from that T that's going out of the block, there is a adapter from 1/8 BSPT to 1/4-inch hose. And that 1/4-inch hose is then routed up to where it meets up with the copper line from the gauge. And I had to take this off because I needed the adapter to put on the Land Rover to check the oil pressure on that, because we've been getting lamp on that, and it has oil, so we decided to check the pressure with my gauge. Took the adapter off the Cortina. Doing that, I pulled the hose apart, which was a steel braided hose. The rubber was just deteriorated. I pulled it clean off, so it needs a new hose. Had it on the Land Rover, this adapter and the gauge, and checked it. And oil went a little bit everywhere every now and then, because the adapter is also broken. And being in Norway, trying to find a 1/8 BSP to 1/4-inch hose adapter, yeah, I can't find one. So there'll be some more searching trying to find that and get that gauge back working on the Cortina. I did plug the original like idiot lamp switch back into the block so it won't be puking oil everywhere. But I'll need to do that to the Cortina. Put summer tires back on it. I'll have to put summer tires on the 940 and my girlfriend's V70. The V70 also needs a little bit of work. I'm not actually sure if I've shown that V70 yet, but we've had it for over a year now. Yeah, that's just now coming up. The Granada, of course, that is the elephant in the room, the one I'm looking at. I decided to get a kick in the butt. This car needs to be inspected for its roadworthiness by the end of June, which is in just over a month. Then it has to be approved. Seal approval, new seal of approval for 2 new years. And, well, I haven't touched it since the last time you saw it. Well, yes, I have a few small things, but none of the big stuff. I bought a rebuild kit for the master cylinder on it because that's been a little bit not good since forever, really. I replaced it once, but the one I replaced it with quickly became the same as the other one. So I bought a rebuild kit, repacked it, got the brakes bled, and the brakes now work as they should. I put the exhaust back up under it. It ends pretty much under the rear seats because the rest from there back is destroyed. How the rules are here, I'm not sure of the distance measurement, but it's around 20 to 30 centimeters behind the door. You can have the exhaust leave out of the car, which is just before the front tire, rear tire. And I'm thinking I'm going to put it out there because it just fits that way. And I won't have to make a bend to go over the rear subframe and drive shafts and everything. I won't have to do so much work to it since I have less than a month. Well, technically I have less than a month. It has to be approved by June 30th. So yeah. But I can show you what's happened because we took it in here the other day and just went to work on the rear fender because that was what's left of that in the rear bottom plate there. I also hung one of the front fenders on because I could. And have a look at this. It's a bitchin' shade of rainbow. So of course, you all remember the hood. I picked all the Bondo off of it and it looks like crap. And the front fender is green. Yep, and of course I have all the moldings this time. Well, except this one, but it's not going back on. These holes are getting plug welded back up. And I'm not having those moldings. Indicator, I have to have that. And I have bought a set of old Lada ones because they are round and they're not very thick. They don't build very far out because the stock ones here, they build out until about there. And I don't like them sticking out. So I've been thinking about maybe 68 Charger, Dodge Plymouth Chrysler ones. They're just small round ones with a big chrome bezel and they're sunk in. Those are a bit expensive for what I want to do with this thing. And, well, maybe in the future I'll buy a set of those because I like them better. But there's also the thing about, I think those chrome bezels are a bit too big. But I bought a lot of ones. They're orange. They build out about that much. And they're a little bit bigger than that hole. So I think those might fit a lot better. I might, speaking of 68 Mopars, move them down here to get them a little bit more out of the way. I'll have to have a look at what looks the best, but that's an option. The door is on, of course, and as you've already seen, there's more blue behind it. And that is the rear fender. It's not welded on, I just stuck it on there now, so just held in by where it's cut. Like it's held in up here and down there. It's real tight. Has to be some massaging done to that plate to get it up to the fender because it lines up pretty good. and the gap is a bit twisted, but I think that's the door having to come forwards at the bottom. The gap here is a little bit thicker, wider down there than up there. Not a lot, but a little bit. Enough to even this out. Wheel arch has to be repaired. Of course, we have thought of that, because we knew that before we started cutting into the green one. So I cut the one off the green one. This also has to be repaired, but it's not anywhere near as bad. That goes on there. Yeah, spot weld it where we can. Along here, in there. Here it'll be butt welded underneath where the moldings go, because there is a molding going here and up there to separate the vinyl top from the rest of the car. Yeah, so butt welded up here, down here, spot welded again on the back here. Put that back where it goes. Just there. Plug weld it down there and around. Replace the rear plate there. Got that out of the green one too, so that's over here. And then replace this corner because I can. Yeah. All of this needs to be done by June 17th at 12 o'clock. Because I set up my vacation this year. I set up 2 weeks in June. I have 5 weeks of vacation this year. So I set up 2 of them in the start of June, the 7th to the 20-something. And the 17th, which is at the end of that last week, this thing has an appointment at my work to get a windscreen replaced, because that's cracked. So yeah, 12 o'clock, June 17th, I have to have this one at work for its appointment with a new windscreen. Yeah, that is less than a month too. So in less than a month, fender on, other fender on, fix the rust up front underneath the right hand front fender, put that fender on it, put the indicators on, decide where I want to have them, the rear plate underneath the back of the car here, repair the right hand rear corner. There's a little bit of rust underneath the car in the floor, has been fixed. Exhaust made out, put out in front of the rear tires. I'll show you this. I did make a, well, Sierra Group A, DTM style exhaust tip. I didn't make it nice, but I just made it. To go under here, here's one of these oval things. It's just a 2-inch pipe cut along the length, widened out, and a piece of, flat plate in between to make a Y shape. And I'm thinking of putting that up under like this on either side, because I have a dual exhaust V6. The exhaust ends right there, and I've cut it so that it points out on both sides. So I could be able to put this up around here and end up with maybe a nice looking exhaust. Never mind the welds. Who knows how it's going to sound? Because this thing sounds, with those silencers that it has on it, it sounds a little bit noisy, especially when you rev it up. Because, V6. And yeah, that is where the Granada is going to be going now. But there is another project that I forgot to mention that I have been working on a little bit. Longtime followers of this channel will remember that I still have it. I haven't done anything to it in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, actually, when I think about it. 63 Ford Fairlane 500. 4-door, 302, Raven Black, Rangoon Red. Yeah. '63 four-door Ford Fairlane. I'm not going to get into the long story of that thing. I bought it in 2013. Actually, it's actually 8 years ago today, May 20th, 2013. I went and picked that up. Yeah. I fixed a few things on it that year. Tore the interior out. Figured out what I needed. Ordered a few bits. Yeah. I didn't do a lot. I replaced a lot of small parts. Then it probably took a year, and it was taken in to, well, almost a year, and it was taken in to start fixing the rust. It was an extensive job. Parts of the outer rockers, the half of the inner rockers on both sides, floorboards both sides, top of the cowl, firewall, bottom of both front fenders. Left rear quarter panel had the skirt knocked up. Didn't look good. A lot of rust, surface rust everywhere. That was fixed. Yeah. I pulled the 302 out and just gave it a once over. Replaced all the gaskets, new timing set, and new carburetor. A bunch of small stuff to get the engine back up and running properly. Shove that back in the car. Had to replace one of the wheel cylinders because they had just started leaking, sitting in here for so long. Yeah, fixed the wheel cylinder. Next year, the master started leaking. The floor of it was just full of brake fluid. Rebuilt the master, put it back in. Didn't touch the car again for quite a while. And then the last thing was I started sanding down the sides where the moldings are, because it had rust on it, and I started sanding that down to make it work so I could bond it back up later. That's about how far I got. And then there's... I'm going back in the channel quite a bit now. A friend of mine has that black C10 long bed that I worked on a little bit a couple of years ago. He used to work at a shop restoring Volkswagens, and he used to do quite a bit of bondoing. He used to do quite a bit of filler work on that. So we figured that since he wants more horsepower out of that C10, I can build him an engine, and he can do some filler on the Fairlane. So I set him to work last week. Started working on the right side front fender, which is the easiest part of the car. Well, the doors are easier, but yeah. Started working there, and he's just going to work his way around till the worst fender, which is the left-hand one, which is a nightmare. I've sanded that thing so much to get rid of small impurities in the paint that turns out when you get down to the metal, it's rust. And it's not big rust, it's just surface rust, so I have to sand it all down. A lot of it is bare metal, and it's Bondo spots everywhere. It's full of filler spots everywhere now. So yeah, he's gonna have the whole car to learn. Well, he hasn't done it in a year and a half. He hasn't been doing filler work in about a year and a half. So he's gonna have the whole car to get back into it until he gets to that fender. And that's when, well, we'll see how good it is. Yeah. So he's doing that. I'm gonna have to build an engine. That 1300 Kent engine I have for the Escort sitting in the stand over there should probably have to come down so I can put his engine in there. Tear it apart. Yeah. Oh yeah, and I still have the Morris. I bought a rebuild kit for the... I finally got the rebuild kit for the calipers. So I fixed one, put it on the car. I need pads, which I hadn't thought of. I also need a tie rod end. So yeah, I'm going to have to order pads and tie rod end. Put the other caliper back in. Go to the rear. Replace the wheel cylinders back there and the hoses. Get the brakes back to working. When I think about it, I probably need shoes at the back too, because it's been sitting since 1977. Why would those shoes be stuck to the? And why would the brake liners be stuck to those shoes still? Probably loose. Yeah, it's quite a bit of work. I'm gonna try to focus. Well, I'm gonna focus now on the Granada. Get that back on the road. Get it through its inspection and get there. Then it's gonna have to be the Fairlane. It's been sitting in this garage inside here for 8 years. It's been moving from. It's been moving between the bays. It's been over the inspection pit. It's been here where I'm standing. It's been in there, and it's taken up a spot. I mean, it's a big car. Well, it's not big compared to Galaxy, but compared to regular sized cars now, it is a big car, and it's taking up a lot of space. I mean, when it stands over the inspection pit, where you could like work on it front and back, it takes up the entire pit, and it's in the way. Moving it out of there over here, it's in the way of all the other stuff that's here. Yeah, there's no room for it in here. It has to get out. It has to be finished. Yeah. Thinking about it now, I keep forgetting about all my cars. Well, not forgetting about them. Not all of them. I keep forgetting a lot of them. Like I was standing with my back to the Fairlane and I didn't remember it, talking about all the cars I've been working on. Yeah. There's a lot of work to do. But I'm going to end on that because this video is going to be really long. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. You can like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.